right, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Shadow Mark podcast. I'm excited to be here tonight. My name is Derek Thompson. With me, as always, is Mr. TJ Davidson,
What up?
and we do have a special guest, Mr. Ethan. Uh, TJ, why don't you go ahead and introduce him? He's been on the show before, but we are not since we've rebranded.
Yeah, so he's back again, ladies and gents. The
Well,
one,
thank
the
you.
only,
Thank you.
Mr. Ethan Pendleton.
I don't know about that, but it's a pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me.
I'm fucking excited about it, to be honest with you. I'm a little bit nervous about it. This tonight's topic's kind of fucking personal and close to me, and I struggle with it sometimes. But I just realized my microphone was faced the other way because I was listening to the.
You
fucking,
do sound a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet I do. Anyway, yeah, I'm Derek Thompson. We got TJ, we got Ethan, we got all of us. I'm excited about tonight's show. I'm glad I sound better now that I realized my fucking microphone was facing the wrong way like an idiot.
We don't have that.
Yeah, so I had my microphone face the other way because I didn't want to take my headphones off, and I wanted to watch my show, so I just faced my microphone the other way to watch my show. So I was getting full 360 audio out of my speakers and whatnot. It was awesome.
Surround sound.
Yeah, it was. It was super surround sound is what it was. But yeah, no, I'm excited about it. And tonight we're going to kind of talk about, I guess, perks and downfalls of being a dad, everything that comes with being a dad. And not just so much that, but, just everything that comes with it. How it isn't as easy as it's made out to be. Motherhood kind of steals the thunder on this one because they put so much work into it, and they do a lot. I'm sure the whole pregnancy process is something we can't understand for sure.
I feel like we should put the disclaimer out, like we are not narking on anything about motherhood.
Yeah, we're not saying that motherhood's bad.
No,
we're not saying it. We're not trying to downplay motherhood. We're not trying to do anything like that. For me, it's going to be kind of a personal episode just because, I've kind of put myself in a situation where I haven't gotten to be the father I wish I could be. So, it's going to be an episode, but here we are, and we get to talk about it, and we get to have fun. And some of that's going to be men's health as well. So
Yeah, I feel like at least 90% of fathers feel the exact same way, though. Like, I feel like I wish that I could do a whole lot more and be a better father than I am now. Mainly, spend more time with my kids instead of always being gone and working. You know what I mean? That's probably one of the biggest things for me.
Yeah, the behest of, doing the right thing. I wish I could pay more. I wish I could do a lot more. I'm trying to get that all sorted out and deal with things, but here we are. Life kind of throws life's curves at you, and you just deal with it. I don't know how else to say it. Life sucks sometimes.
Yeah,
right.
Well, one of the biggest things for me that I've noticed, and I know we've kind of touched on this before in previous episodes and stuff, with the line of work that a lot of the stuff that the men in particular, they're listening to this that we do is, and again, this is just from personal experience, but how much it changes you in so many aspects of life. But everybody talks about like for boys, for example, like there's so many like rites of passage of like, oh, you become a man, like it's time for you to become a man. And there's several different things in a guy's life where that happens, but it's all kind of like after like having a kid, all that kind of stuff, getting a job, doing, whatever it is, time to grow up and be a man, and you take everything on the chin, you do all this and that. But then like when you have a kid, it like something in me just like completely changed, where like the whole like perspective of everything that you do completely like 180s, and it's no longer about like even the concept of becoming a man isn't even about you anymore. It's about someone else. It's about like, you know, now it's about your
Right.
child, you know. And that's one of the one things that I've noticed the most. And you know, I've only got one kid right now, so I don't like all these guys that I know that have 2, 3, 4 kids. I can't even imagine. But even just with the one, like so much stuff has changed for me with like mentality, attitude, perspective, all of that stuff has just kind of flip flopped. And that's really what made me even notice, especially in today's world with like all the mainstream stuff that's going on about how, let's just say, how men are perceived in this country nowadays. And you know, that's the whole issue, I guess, is like people don't realize what guys actually do to be that person that's supposed to, you know, bring this person to life to where they can have their own rites of passage to learn and do their own things.
Yeah, I think that's a great starting point right now. Would be what is a man? What's the, you know, what's the criteria? I mean, what do we have to meet to be considered a man? Because it seems to me like it's a lot more difficult to be a man in a lot of aspects, as far as being emotional and having the understanding that we have to meet certain criteria.
Right.
I don't think we hold those same criteria for women. You just, and women have their own struggles too. Not to say that they don't. I just feel like there's a lot of, you know, emotional stunting done with men.
So for me on that whole point is like to be a good man as a father, anyways, is you are a provider and you're a protector, right? Those are going to be like the two main aspects there. Your provider in the means of like monetary value. You know, you're the quote unquote breadwinner, whether you are in your household or not. You're still, or like that's just like this is a overall kind of a thing, not like, you know, specific to
Yeah,
anybody's
this isn't
life.
every
But
situation. This isn't.
these are the pressures that we feel on us, that we have to be the provider, to where we have to be the breadwinner and make the money to support our families, and then a protector, which I think that kind of goes without explaining. You know, you fucking protect your family and everything.
Right.
Um, but then when you want to talk about like the emotional aspect of it, is if you are having a hard day or you are struggling with things, you're not allowed to let those feelings show. Which, so you just got to bottle them up, right? Which we've talked about this a lot, but it's obviously that approach doesn't fucking work, because that's why there's so many men killing themselves, and they feel like they don't have an outlet because they can't show their feelings to, let alone like their wives or their family, because they're going to be looked down upon for that, because it's not what a fucking man is supposed to be, right? So then you don't want to talk about these feelings to your friends either, especially your other guy friends, because they're like, "Hey, quit being a fucking bitch." You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, and then it
absolutely.
just builds up and builds up until the point where, like, you know, I can't talk about this shit with anybody. I don't want to go see a doctor because then everybody's gonna think I'm a pussy or whatever. So now my only option is I'm just gonna fucking kill myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, white males consist of 70% of the suicides in the U.S.
Yeah. See, but I think, I
So,
mean, like, like that aspect right there that he's talking about, uh, one of the most like important things that's helped me in my life, and I know I've said this before on previous episodes, but like the importance of like having true friends, whether it be somebody that you grew up with your entire life or somebody you met 6 months ago, but you work together every day, and then you start to, I mean, like, like guys form connections with other dudes. I mean, it's just how it is. I mean, like either you do or you don't.
Right.
But once you form that, like the importance of having like a good friend, because like what he's talking about, yeah, back in the day, these like two dudes could be the best friends that you ever did see and not speak a word about any of this, anything to each other than like talking about fishing spots or what's the best kind of beer or whiskey right now, and that was it. And they would never, but like I feel like our generation has made a pretty good leap on like coming in up to each other and saying, hey man, like I have a couple friends that I can actually go to and say, hey, I got a couple issues, that I mean, I wouldn't word it like this, but but I could talk to people about it,
Yeah, I got some shit that's fucking with me right now. Like, I just need to talk to somebody and, just for one, get it out. And for two, maybe get your advice on how you might handle it or something like that. I know what you're saying.
And I know,
Yeah,
I mean, like, and
I
again,
think that's men helping
luxury.
men.
Right.
Yeah. And I understand that's a luxury that like some dudes don't have, but that, I mean, that's something too that gets understated. And even also too, even when it is a factor, like a guy can even get made fun of because, they call it like a bromance or like something like that. But I'm like, well, you take this person that you can like unload all this stuff on and they have similar problems and they can unload all their stuff on you. And it could be like right here in the shop, doesn't have to hear like go through anybody else's ears, just you and him talk it out. But back to
well, I think there's a lot of importance to be said about that. Just having each other to sit there and bounce things off of and really dive into, because like I said, I mean, emotionally, I feel like we get, shunted a lot. I don't think, I think most of the time we're expected to shove shit down, and having that group and that friendship to actually share with is going to be huge moving forward. It's something that men need to have, and it's something that we need to share with our kids and really impress upon them that it's okay to share your emotions. It's okay to do these things because we do. I mean, the suicide rates are insane right now. Right. And when you sit there and you look at it and you actually think about it, I mean, how do we change that? Right? I mean, I don't know the first place to start, but I think a good place to start is just trying to be more emotionally vulnerable and actually share things with each other. And that's why I'm so blessed to have TJ and guys like you, Ethan. I mean, I know I come to you guys if I need something, and I'm super blessed for that in itself. And it keeps me afloat. You know,
we all need an emotional outlet. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was raised the same way. Like, I'm still kind of like, the old school mentality. Like, you got to fucking man up and take it on the chin every now and then, but don't let that shit build up until you want to fucking kill yourself.
right.
So, but then so that's easy to say, right? But then, so how do you not let it build up if you have nobody to fucking talk to?
Right.
So you don't have, like, I'm not going to go drive around in my car and talk to myself like I'm talking to Ethan or talking to you and be like, hey man, like I had this fucking terrible day or whatever, like this happened and this happened. Like, that shit don't work. You actually need somebody to talk to, somebody that's going to listen to you and either share their insights or just, show just a little bit of empathy to the way that you're feeling at that moment.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how much difference that actually makes.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's actually another thing I'd love to fucking kind of pick your brain on and talk to you about. I know with women, at least from my experience, maybe not all the time they don't want advice, but I don't know, maybe it's a man thing. I feel like my job is to give that advice.
Right.
With dealing with other men, how do we deal with that? Like, what's the right situation? Because chances are I'm going to be like, hey man, this is what I would do. I feel like guys don't fucking take that shit as personally. I feel like women take that shit personal. I don't know.
So here's my opinion, right? I think a lot of times women just want to say it. Like they want to be able to like just get it off their chest or whatever. They really don't give a shit like what your opinion is on it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying like that's obviously this is not like 100% like all women and all this.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying.
But it's more or less
my
like
experience too.
That's more of a release for them, and that's just not how men are wired. Because men and women are wired completely fucking differently. Like if you've never had a significant other that was a opposite sex of you, then you might not understand. But if you have, then you know exactly what the fuck I'm saying. But a lot of times they just want you to listen and show empathy. They don't want your opinion on it or how you think they should handle the situation. They just want to know that you are there for them and know that you're listening and know that you understand how they're feeling and that you feel for them. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like for us, and you know, sometimes it's kind of the same thing. You know, like it's not just opposite ends of the spectrum all the time. Sometimes it might be the same kind of thing. Like I just need to fucking tell somebody and like know that there's somebody there that understands how I'm feeling, you know. But like you said, it's just again how we're wired. Like we feel like it's our job to try to help and fix the situation, but that's not always the case. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's one thing I've always noticed too is like I feel like men have always like they're much better at coming to terms with like the just genetic spectrum of like we know that we're just knuckle dragging, you know, cavemen, and we have like a select 5 things that we need in our lives to make us happy.
We might be dumb, but goddamn it, we're strong.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, there's all.
If you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough.
Exactly, and I mean, but with that, I mean, because like you're talking about just a dude, you know, like if you're gonna be dumb, you got to be tough. But then, like, flip the script and throw a woman into that man's equation, and like the whole dynamic changes, you know. And that's what one thing I've noticed is like men like we understand where we come from. Women do too, but I think we're better at knowing our place with how women are, you know, like when they go to talking like that, you just need to listen and all that stuff. But like, whereas it's the other way around, like, and God, this is gonna be a hard one, man, because it's gonna make so many things like sound bad. But you know, like we can talk about our problems, and it's kind of one of those things. Like it just seems like our problems are kind of swept under the rug, you know,
right?
And I mean, and you know. But that's another one of those things about like openness. Like when you talk about stuff like, and again, guys like that say the stuff that we do, you know, and we've talked about this on a previous episode about like bringing our wives into the situations that we're in, like, because that's another like awesome alternative or route to take as far as like getting stuff off your chest. Like you can talk to your wife and, you know, like maybe leave out all the bad details about it, but like say, hey, this is what's going on and this and that, like, but I need you to listen to me and like just if you just get to say it out of your mouth.
That's Nick Wingo's sanitized statements.
Sanitized statements.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And I mean, because like you know, like my wife is now because like, and I mean honestly because of I had a breakdown one time, and then it was shortly after that I did one of these podcasts and stuff, and then I've kind of like brought my wife in on all that stuff, and it's helped tremendously. I mean, like that's awesome. You know, you talk about like needing a friend or needing a best friend. I mean, like if you have a wife or a woman in your life, like, well, that's a pretty good.
Yeah, it must fucking be nice. Just fucking rub it in.
Well, I'm sorry, man. But I'm saying, like, I mean, the situation I'm in right now, like, I have my best friends that are dudes, but like, my wife is very good about.
But hang on, though.
For you,
like,
man.
but his wife is kind of like an anomaly though. She's one of the boys also. You know what I'm saying?
That is true.
You got a
So,
unicorn,
yeah.
huh?
It's just.
Well, she grew up with all of us, you know. So she always was like one of the dudes.
Yeah, and
That's fantastic.
she was always
I
around
might be
with
part
us
gay,
doing,
dude. I just married one of the dudes.
That's what I've been saying. I think that's why we're friends. You know, like I get it. Like I'm an attractive dude. It happens.
You are.
I'm glad you fucking say that, TJ. I actually did need to hear that because I feel pretty fucking unattractive, and we get compared a lot. And I'm glad that you're confident.
Listen, we are sexy motherfuckers. You know,
God
like,
damn
hands
it.
down.
You're right. We are fucking sexy.
Listen, like
I'm fucking waiting to join. I'll be in this group with you guys where I'll be a bearded, glassed gentleman again here shortly. Because I've got glasses, I can't see out of them because they went to shit. So that's the only thing. Otherwise, we got a triplet square here.
Oh, did you notice I have some on now too?
I did, yeah. It's like we'll have a triplet trio or triangle, whatever you want to call that.
I mean, we don't have to glorify it because it fucking happened.
Ignore that I said triplet square earlier because that's fucking 4.
That'd be a triangle. But, you know, fucking shapes don't matter. That's not what we're talking about right now. Okay?
We're not talking about shapes, goddammit.
Listen, we might not math good, but goddamn it, we're strong. Wait,
I may not be the sharpest goddamn light bulb in the knife drawer, but
I thought I was. I think I might have a hernia now.
That's from all the thinking that you were trying to do.
Yeah, that's true.
I fucking hate when that happens.
Yeah, that thinking will get you in trouble. You just need to knock that shit off. Less thinking, more doing. All right?
Exactly.
Less thinking, more doing.
That's how we do shit.
So, but like that, like even that right there, you know, like that's a man mentality, right?
Goddamn right it is.
You know, like, and that's just something that's like, because you know, there's lots of times where like women will be like, "You dumb fuck! Like, why the fuck did you just do that?" And you're like, "I don't know. It's something needed doing, so I done it." You know,
I think, and I think that's one of the things, especially with military men and like men in general, though, we're doers. So when something needs done, we may not know exactly why we're doing it, but we're like, I've got to do something.
We're going to set it in motion and then figure out the details while it's happening, you know? But either way, something's getting fucking done right now.
Yeah, it's got to get done. Like we're doers. We have to see some progress, something.
Yeah. Well, and I'm one of those guys too, because like even if there's like a pause of silence with the interaction with me and another person, I'll just start talking because I don't know if it's like ADD or whatever it is, but like I can't stand the silence on it and all that stuff.
I get that. I get that 100%. I do a lot of the same shit. That's why you hear me talk so much on these fucking podcasts, because it'll get quiet. And then I'm just like,
Well, big gulps, huh?
So there was this one time at band camp, and fucking there it was, and things happen.
Random interesting fact though, before we started all this and stuff, we listened to the International Space Station on my radio. That was pretty cool.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I'm studying to get my ham license and all that, you know.
Oh, hell yeah.
But that's pretty cool. We tracked it and listened to the fucking space station. I was like, all right, man, that's pretty sweet right there.
Was anything interesting happening?
Well, it's like another language, man. Like everything, it's all like the phonetic alphabet, Q codes, everybody's call signs or W or something. Yeah, I mean, like, so I didn't understand any of it, obviously, but it was, and I'm not allowed to like I couldn't talk. I bought a ham radio.
Right.
I can't transmit on it until I get my license, but I'm listening to it and I'm like, well, I got a long ways to go because I don't know what the fuck they just said, but they said a lot of shit. I listened to it. I listened to him last night, and then I told TJ, I was like, man, we gotta do this shit again because this tracker thing says it's 8:23. It's gonna be over the house, you know. So we fucking watched it. It was cool because we went out and stood on his tornado shelter, and because I mean that's an Oklahoma thing. Everybody's got one of those, so you stand on it, higher than the rest of the ground, and it's a good line of sight, man. We watched it fly over. I mean, you could see it visibly.
That's cool.
And then just listened to it. I was like, man, that's pretty cool shit right there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool as shit. So they were like Echo 5 Delta, fucking.
Yeah, like WR, whatever my call sign is. W5X, X-ray. You know,
Yeah, I
then
was
there's
just
like
going with
Q codes
fucking
and shit. Like
military.
QRS means this, and all this stuff. And I was like, man, that's cool.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
cool
just
shit
trying to
to.
go military shit where I was like Echo 5 Delta.
Mhm.
No, it's cool shit. Like
Mr. Davis.
listening to them as you're watching them. You know,
Are you a 6? What are you now?
huh? 5.
5? I thought so.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure I didn't fuck that up.
it's been a long, hard road.
I fucking really thought I fucked that up. I was pretty happy I didn't, though. I feel good about myself.
Yeah, no, it's been a long, hard road.
I'm a number 1.
But speaking of space, when we dive into the
You're number 1
space
to
of
me.
parenting, it's just a whole new ball game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, and that's it's you talk about like masculinity and all that stuff, and back to the 2 old boys we were talking about back in the day that were best friends that never talked about any of that stuff, because I've always pondered, I'm like, well, I know how I feel now that I have a little girl, but like guys in like say 1933 when they had that little girl, like, do they feel the same thing? Because if they did, they fucking, you talk about bottle some shit down, because like you never expressed anything like that. Because I mean, like it brings to me, and we were talking about like what it means, like what is a man?
Right.
Well, I feel like the dynamic of that changes once you have a child, because like what is a man when you're a single dude, doing your thing? It's all about, what you can achieve as far as like your job and finances and all that stuff. And then when you it's finances all the way through, but so much stuff changes on it that you're like softer in a way, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot softer.
Yeah. I
Dude,
mean,
having
Well,
kids
you become
made me
a big
a
old
pussy.
puss.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
which I think, I mean, so like for me, like that's one of those, like even this podcast and like talking to guys about things, stuff like that. Like I mean, if it weren't for stuff like that, I mean, like you probably never would, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like
Well,
we still live in a place where like if you put like if you go to work in the morning and the coffee pot's going, and you go pour yourself a cup of coffee, like God help you if all them dudes you work with ever see you pour like some sugar or some creamer in that
Creamer in
coffee. Yeah, because you're a bitch. And like,
Yeah, I get that.
that's just how it was, But then, but like as somebody that like before you have a kid, like you're like, yeah, I'm on board with that. And then like you have a kid and you're like, fuck you, I'm putting some creamer in my coffee.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Like, I want
fuck
some
you.
honey.
I want it to taste good. God damn it.
Yeah. Which I drink coffee just regular, just to clarify,
Of course,
not
just
to prove my
clarify,
point, but
I
I drink
drink my
fucking
coffee
black
black.
coffee. Yeah, I like my coffee like I like my
I actually
whiskey.
like it
Like,
extra black. If I can't chew it, it's not fucking real coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I can't float a quarter in that shit, it ain't fucking coffee.
Coffee, whiskey, and
That's-
men. I like them
that's-
all straight.
And anyway,
Oh shit! I actually have like I was fucking joke around. I'm like, the worst thing to happen to families is women's rights. And that sounds fucked up, but here's my thing, and I'll back this up with some science. By science, I mean absolute opinions.
Well, I'm gonna.
What I mean by when I say that, and
it
it is a joke. It is a joke, so don't fucking take it like a dick. It's not so hard. What I mean by when I say that is, fucking, there used to be somebody with the family that raised the family, and then World War II and to a slight extent World War I happened, and women became part of the workforce, and then that's when we really lost that kind of family ethos, where we had somebody that was a mother or a father being there for the family and the kids at all times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I joke around about it, and it is a joke. But at the end of the day, I think there is some truth to the fact that we used to have more family values because things have changed. That has changed. Family ethos have changed. The way we look at families, the way money's divided, the way that money's brought in, everything like that's changed. And women deserve the same rights as men. I'm not going to fucking argue that. I'm glad that they're working. I just wish it balanced out somewhere. I wish that the mother or the father had the chance to be home more or to alternate, like the opportunity to be there.
See, I feel like that's more of an economical issue, though, because in today's economy, it just makes more sense for the mother and father to both work.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely. You have to now.
You have to have the dual income in order just to afford to live.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. And that's what I agree with that. Yeah,
Well,
but
100%.
on the same note, though, it like what you're saying, it kind of sucks because it's almost like you're paying other people to raise your fucking kids.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Whether
Is
it be
you're spending
daycare,
$1,200
in the school system, like it's insane.
Exactly. Well, that right there. I mean, because like it's a fine line. Because at what point is this like? Because this is in 1962, where it's like Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah.
And the dad comes home with his suit on, and there's a drink made for him, and which sounds very sexist. I know. I'm just saying that's a different time. It's not. I'm not saying that's now.
It's definitely not now.
But I mean, now, obviously, it's much more reasonable for like the woman to have a job as well, or is it? Because if she goes out and gets a job and you're paying $1,200 a month on
there's a fine boundary.
childcare.
I want to say, I think in Arizona we were looking at $2,000 a month for our kid for child support.
That's
for
fucking insane.
Yeah,
that's
insane.
So like what? You gotta make a decision there. Like, is it? I mean,
what's
you
more
might take a little bit of a
economically
cut, but like at least like the mom gets to be with the kid all day. And you're raising your own kids instead of somebody else doing it while you're out working your life away just to pay for that childcare.
Yeah, what fiscally makes more sense? I mean, it's a huge struggle now that we have to deal with, and it's something that I don't know how we face. I don't know how you change it. Well, because at this point, like TJ said, I mean, you have to have that dual income now to afford life.
Yeah, there's just too many aspects like involved in that to even really. That's going to be a whole nother show on its own. And honestly, we should probably have Dave and Stacy from the 22 Mohawks come in and school us a little bit on our finances, because I'm sure they could fucking help us
absolutely.
a whole lot better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a little shout out there to 22 Mohawks.
Yeah, to Dave and Stacy at 22 Mohawks. If you haven't listened to the episode, listen to the episode. And if you guys need anything, reach out to them. Dave does financial classes for free for vets, and if you guys need anything, reach out to them for sure.
Yeah, they're great people. Like they're
incredible.
They're gonna bring you in just like they're like your family. Like they're not judgmental. But I just had to plug them real quick. They're I think it's the 22 Mohawks family on Facebook.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, check them out, man. They're awesome.
Are you saying
they're incredible?
Mohawks, like
like when your hair's got a fucking when you got more hair than I got.
He's like, you got that mohawk over there.
Oh, in the middle, none on the sides. That's mohawk. In case you guys didn't know. But anyway, there's a whole lot of shit that goes into that.
Yeah, I just wanted to. That was my chance to pitch in my joke that I usually make. So I was excited about it. But that being said, kind of moving into some of the other parenting stuff and the dad stuff that we kind of were talking about. I feel like dads aren't represented quite as well as women. For whatever reason,
well,
we don't.
To me, though,
we don't go
it's one
through
of those things where, like, I don't think they need to be, but for some reason, because I don't feel like dads are being like misrepresented, or no, I'm sorry, underrepresented. I feel like they're being misrepresented. I mean, like
undervalued. I think that's
That's a better
undervalued
word for it.
Yeah,
like by a long
I think
shot.
undervalued is a big. If you look at the statistics from like kids that are in prison, suicides, and etc., those numbers are drastically higher in kids that had no dads.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like 90% or some crazy shit. Like it's a lot.
yeah, I
Well,
want to say like fucking 80% of kids without dads in the, or not 80% of kids without dad, 80% of kids that go to prison have no dad.
Yeah.
It's some shit like that. Like 67% of kids who commit suicide have no dad. The role of the father is equally as important as the role of the mother. And I think that, like you said, it's undervalued. It's not appreciated like it should be. Um, and you know, every situation is different. I'm not here to speak on why dads aren't involved. I'm just here to say that they are important.
Well, so one of the things to me, like just talking about like the struggles of being a father in general, right? It's one of the hardest things for me is, and this is just my situation, and I know this isn't like everybody's deal, but like, and this is also the way I was raised at the same time, is that as the father, generally, like I'm the main disciplinarian in the household, right? Like,
yeah.
so if my kids are acting up or whatever, like I'm the one's like, and everybody jokes about use your dad voice, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
hey, knock that shit off, get over here and do what the fuck you were told, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And that on its own is pretty fucking hard because I don't want to be yelling at my kids all the time or getting on to my kids, and all they're gonna know me as when they get older is the guy who is always mean as hell and making them do what they're supposed to do,
Well,
right?
but that's like, to me though, that's one of those things that, like, talking about like change in a man's life though, because I always thought that, like, I'm gonna be like, we're gonna be stern, we're gonna like straight and narrow, stuff
Right.
like that. Like, dude, like anytime that I have to whoop, or even because, like, honestly, I don't have to give that many whoopings. Like, I got a pretty good little girl, but like, and it's one of those things that you find out, like, you gotta traverse those waters and see what's the best method on how to do that with your kid. Because, like, with my daughter, for example, like, it is much more effective to be like, man, I'm like, I'm really disappointed on how you did that, and like, I don't think you should have done, whatever it is. And then they'll just be like this breakdown cry, and it just shatters your soul,
I know, man.
and you're like, but you got to stand there and be like, well, because I told, like, I read, or my daughter lied to me the other day. So I was like, well, you got to get a whooping. Like, you can't, it was the whole lesson of like, it's better to tell the truth
Right.
and get what you're getting.
You'll be in a lot less trouble if you tell the truth.
Yes, but if you lie about it, you're going to be in worse trouble. So like, I was like, and dude, she was breaking down, and like, my heart was in my fucking underwear. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, God damn, like, it's killing me.
But that's what I'm saying.
But
Like,
but like,
and it
that's one thing
sucks,
too.
right?
Like, the aspect of being a man is like, you still have, like, you have to, like, you got to tuck that away, and you still got to be like, look, I want you to learn this. I let the record show I ended up not whooping her because I folded like a bitch. But
You pussy.
yeah, I was like, but this is the last time.
Yeah.
Like, you do not lie to me again, and because if you lie to me again, like, it's gonna be a whooping. And but I don't know. I mean, like, because you like
Well, it's
what we
hard,
were talking
right?
about earlier too, because like, you always hear the term nature versus nurture, and like with women, it's, keep in mind, I've had a few. Nurture, correct, with the moms. It's
No,
about,
well, that's kind of their role is
or is it
to
nature? I don't know.
no, it'd be nurture. Like
Nurture,
that's what
okay.
mothers do. Like
Yeah,
they're
mothers are the nurturers.
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you. Yes. So, but also too, like with dads, like the nature though is a much more like long-term effect on like let's just say like we'll call the child a person, because eventually it will be a person. Like they'll have their own
Well,
lives.
an adult, yeah.
Yes, and like the values. And I'm not saying mothers don't teach values, but like, a lot of the stuff, because this is just our personal experience, but like with women, when it like that story I was just telling, like learning that lesson about lying, like that's a value that will be learned by that child/person that hopefully they carry throughout their entire life, and like I did that, I'm not trying to take credit from anybody, but like that was just in that given moment, that was me that was given that lesson.
Right.
And obviously, I mean, she's 5 years old, so it's not going to stick for shit. But years down the road, because like and this is another thing too about like guys, like obviously guys are supposed to be confident and fearless and all this shit. Like I'm fucking terrified of like when our daughters are 16.
Well, here's the thing: is like we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Exactly.
And
yes,
I didn't realize this until I was a father. I thought my parents had that shit figured. Like they knew fucking life. They knew exactly what the fuck was happening.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
I was talking to my dad, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I'll be honest with you right now, like I have no fucking idea what the fuck I'm doing. But what I am going to do is what I think is the best thing to do for them. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever I do get on to them, I don't just if they're playing and stuff, me a little bit too loud, like, hey, bring it down, like calm down a little bit. And then, it goes from there and then keep coming down. And then eventually I'm going to get in their ass and be like, hey, I said fucking calm down. You didn't calm down. So now you're getting your ass whooped. And then I'm like, but I don't want to whoop them.
This is probably your problem is you shouldn't be in your kid's ass.
Like, right.
That's illegal, I think, in most states.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's legal here too.
Hey,
I'm just saying what I'm getting at is
I'm about to do it right now. I'm about to go put a little boy's pecker in a grown man's hand.
I'll see you in a minute, buddy.
I'll be right back.
Which, by the way, is a federal offense.
It is a federal offense.
It's Oklahoma.
I'll wait for fucking Ethan to get back, but
it's not legal, but we can touch little peckers.
As long as they belong to us.
Yeah, as long as they belong to us. I want to touch on kind of the whooping thing we were talking about. And where do you stand on that? Because I think for the most part, I think it's frowned upon now.
Well, so this is my opinion. I think every child is different. Like just like every adult is different. They're going to understand and respond to different punishments differently, right?
Right.
So like for my daughter, I couldn't even tell you last time I whooped her. I mean, and even then, like I can't even think of a time that I've actually whooped my daughter, honestly. And she's the oldest. I'm talking about my oldest child, who is about to be 6 years old. But for her, it's more of like a timeout. Is what she don't want to have a timeout, or like we're disappointed in you. Like the whole like disappointed thing is that's enough. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But for my son, who is 2, he'll be 3 in June, so here shortly. He just don't give a fuck. I mean, like he don't like, and even the whoopings, like I don't think like those really don't phase him either. So I'm hoping that I can figure some shit out by the time he gets a little bit older of what it is that, and he's not like he doesn't watch like iPads or like the cell phone and stuff, but he does have like TV shows like his Paw Patrol or his the Lion Guard that I was talking about. Like his favorite TV shows. I'm like, oh no, you can't watch that because you were being a bad boy. Like you destroyed your sister's makeup or whatever the fuck he did, and like that right there is like I can't watch my show. Like, well, it's because you're being bad, or what I'm saying. It's like whoopings and timeouts. Like every kid's different. They're going to respond differently to different punishments, right?
100%.
So like some kids you can't put in timeout because they just don't give a shit. Well, at that point you need to spank them, and if that doesn't work, then you got to figure out what it is that they value that you can take away from them as a punishment because of a bad thing they did in order for them to understand that, hey, I probably shouldn't do this anymore because I'm not supposed to, and this is my repercussions if I do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm 100% like, I'm not against whoopings, but I am against like beating kids, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
Like,
I get what you're
and,
saying. Don't beat
there's
your kid.
and
And
there's a
when I said whooping, I just meant like a spanking,
right, yeah,
a swat on the butt.
yeah, there's a
You
huge
know.
difference between like discipline and abuse, right?
Captain Atheno and his
Captain
But
whoop-ass.
Atheno.
And a
so,
whoop-ass.
well, and I had this conversation with a good friend of mine. His it was actually my oldest daughter when she was like 2.5, almost 3 years old. We're out there in like their grandparents' place in near Amarillo, and my rules were they have a really big garage, and like the garage, like the party place, was like pool tables and shit in there. But when the garage door is open, I'm like, listen, you can walk out of the garage door and then back inside the other garage door, but don't go past like 3 foot, like where it starts going down, because the road's right there, you know. So like you can only stay if you go outside the garage door, it's because you're leaving this door to go into the next one. You're not going down the driveway. And of course, my almost 3-year-old was like pushing it just to see what I'd do. And I was like, hey, do you want me to whoop your butt? And my buddy's wife, she was like, oh, you better not hit that girl. And I'm like, excuse me? And she's like, you better not whoop her. And I was like, listen, I'll whoop her and then I'll whoop you too. Like, and if your husband's mad about it, like I'll whoop him too. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, this is my kid. This is how I'm parenting. You stay the fuck out of it. I mean,
Right.
but and all that was like they're all empty threats. Like I wasn't gonna whoop my fucking kid. Like whoopings to me is like a more like when you have to.
There's
Like,
whoopings,
it's a pretty
and then there's ass whoopings.
well, yeah. But I'm just saying like there's like even then, like a little swat on the butt. You know, like I still don't whoop my kids unless it's very
I think you're being
like very
insensitive.
yeah no, like very warranted is what I'm saying. Like, but I'm not against whooping your kids because I think that's an issue on its own is kids who were never disciplined, whether it was whoopings or timeouts. And that's why you have these kids that want to tell their teachers like to fuck off, or they want to tell anybody in a position of authority or an adult to go fuck themselves because there's no repercussions to it. Right.
Right. I
Well,
mean, and I think that's the importance of whoopings is teaching your children about repercussions.
right. Well, because
So
if you don't, then they're going to grow up to be just
heathens.
just a bunch of fuckers.
Well, and this is a little sidebar here too, because I'll give a shout out to grandparents, because talking about
Hey,
like
grandparents didn't give a fuck, bro.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so like when it comes to situations like this, where you as a father, like that like there has come this moment where you need to discipline your child. So, for example, I had a situation where my daughter, if they're good every day they're good, they get a green star. All right, cool, that's great. Well, you didn't get a green star today. What happened? This, okay. And it helps with one of my other good friends being his wife is my daughter's teacher. So we get like
A more in-depth
a
view,
more in-depth
a more honest opinion of how your
Yes.
kids being in school.
So anyways, like, okay, well, this happened, and this was on like a Friday or something. Weekend happens, next week of school. Well, she gets in trouble two other times that following week, and I'm like, oh shit. All right, so like, fuck, I get, because like I was like, is this? I guess like, do I like bust out the belt? Like, I mean, like something's got to happen, because like a whooping has to mean something. If you're a parent that gives whoopings, it has to mean like you fucked up. This is your consequence, and it means something. And then you go, oh, I better not fuck up again, or else that happens.
Right.
To which throughout life you learn the concept of good and bad. Is the redneck Oklahoma version of discipline, parental discipline, I guess. But so my dad, I called my dad, and I was telling him about this situation, and because I was asking him, I'm like, I said, when did you? Because I had a switch when I was a kid. Is you had to go out and you picked your own switch, and then when my parents deemed it the right switch, because you'd bring a couple in, and nope, not that one. That was too small. That was too big. You don't want a club. You want something that stings. And then they painted that shit white. It was a white switch, and they put it up on the fridge. And then when it come time to get a whooping from it, they make you go get it, to where you had to drag a chair over to the fridge, climb up on the chair, and climb up on the counter, and then get up on the fucking top of the fridge, grab that switch off, and then carry it to them, and they'd whip you with it.
Yeah, and this makes sense to me, because at that point you're choosing based off your behavior. The consequences.
Yeah.
You're choosing, do I think it's worth getting whooping from the switch?
Exactly.
Go whipping.
All right, so you heard my situation there when I was a child. So then I'm telling my dad about all this, and I'm like, well, when, like, is that deemed necessary now? And he goes, well, like, you need to hear her side of the story. You need to listen to what she's got to say. And I was like, when the fuck did you listen to what I had to say? Because, like, I don't know about the schools in the rest of the U.S., but, like, our school still gave SWATs back whenever we were kids.
Yeah, they beat the shit out of us.
Yeah, and then, but after, it was the second time that I got called into the office to get a SWAT.
They don't even call your parents anymore.
Well, they called your parents every time you went in there, and they put it on speakerphone, so that way you could hear your dad talking. And I remember hearing my dad say on the phone to the principal and Coach Hamilton, or Coach.
You already fucked it up. You already said his name. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Anyways,
he knows what he
did. He said, "You don't got to call me no more." He said, "If he's in there and he needs it, do it." And the rule was, whatever I got at school, I got twice when I got home.
Yep.
But I remember my dad saying, "You don't need to call me, because, like, here's another dude who's a father at work trying to do his fucking job, and the fucking school's calling him, and, like, your piece of shit kid is over here running amok, So he said, that's enough. Like, quit calling me at my job.
Just beat his ass.
Just beat his ass. Yeah. But then, like, this same person, when I'm telling him this situation about my dad, there was three of us. We were all boys. So, like, quite a bit different than, like, because now that, like, my dad, since I've had a little girl, like, he's just living it up and he's loving it. And it's an entirely different situation, and, like, she has him wrapped around her fingers, same as she has me wrapped around, like all of us. But I just remember he's like, well, you need to listen to her side of the story. And I was like,
where the fuck was my side of the story?
I was like, what the fuck is that about?
Motherfucker, listen.
And he's like, well, that was different. And I'm like, I guess from your point of view, I don't know.
In his defense, though, like,
TJ's already a grandpa. In his defense.
Well, in his defense, like, you were a piece of shit.
Yeah, overall, you were a good kid. Like,
that was never up for debate.
Overall, but you were a fucker.
Yeah,
I
was a fucker.
Yeah, I'm aware. I was right there with you in most of those situations.
Well, see, but that's like
fantastic.
Like, and we've talked about this before too. Like, my name, the whole time I was around TJ's family, was chicken shit. Keep in mind, it's because I was fucking awesome at volleyball.
Right. That's the reason. I
schooled them all on fucking volleyball, and they got mad at me. But I was always chicken shit because But I'm like, all right. So you take that, like, I was probably, which, I mean, granted, it was, I was probably fucking 15 to today. Probably I could go over there and still get called chicken shit, and but like, that's the difference. And that's what I'm saying too. Like, the way society has shifted, like, you call somebody chicken shit now, they're like, well, I need to go to my safe space. And I'm sure you could find a way to make chicken shit racist or whatever, or sexist.
Right.
Even though it's just something that comes out of a chicken's butthole. But, like, nobody can handle that shit anymore. So when it comes back to like dudes being dudes, there is this fine line of like we have done leaps and bounds of like, getting to like express opinions, even just an opinion. Like you back in the day, you couldn't even express opinions, or you could be called a bitch or whatever it is. You know? So I mean, like that's come a long way, so that's good. But
well, there's a lot of shit that's come a long way. I mean, we don't do a lot of the shit that we used to do,
right.
and I don't know. I guess I'd like to say I'm thankful and I understand it, but at the same time, I'm just like, man, fucking, we didn't ever say any of that shit to be mean. We fucking said it as a joke, and it was just being people, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, because I mean, like there was always still this concept of respect.
Yeah, there was always respect behind everything we said, you know? And it's funny because I do it now to my mom, and my mom's got a brain injury, and, you know, has maybe the smart thing to do. Whatever. I could sit there and I call her retarded.
You call your mom retarded?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But we both, it's a big joke to both of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where we both think it's funny as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else is like, how dare you? You can't say that. And I'm just like, yeah, but it's funny.
Like you don't know.
Yeah, it's an inside joke kind of thing. It's just funny to
Mhm.
us, you know. And
Well, see,
everyone's got a big thing against the R word.
Retarded.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm friends with one. I'm sitting right next to him.
And you know, I understand the disappointment thing and the being upset about it thing, but at the same time, there's a sign of respect there with it as well. It's like,
Yeah.
I only do it because I respect you so much. I know I can.
Well, but it's also a mutual respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
It's like, I know if you call me that, I'm gonna laugh.
Mhm.
I know I can call you that because you're gonna laugh. There's mutual respect in a lot of the shit we do.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand that. People take it all personal, even when it's not directed towards them. And I don't know how you deal with that. I suck at it.
Well, you just keep doing it, and then whatever's offending people or triggering people, getting triggered is that is your issue, not my issue.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously it depends on like how far you want to go with that. Like I'm not going to sit here and just run around in public and saying some of the same shit real loud where everybody can hear it. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Even though he does.
Yeah, I do that. I'm working. I'm trying to get better, but you know, and I'm not going to call some random person that I don't know on a you know intimate level like
Yeah.
retarded or
Yeah,
something like that. You
exactly.
know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of like a know your audience thing. Also, control your own fucking emotions. And I wasn't.
Well, exactly. And
go
it's
fuck off.
like we were saying, it's a mutual respect thing.
Right.
Like, I know you'll think it's funny. I know if you said the same thing to me, I would think it's funny. It comes back to that treat people how you want to be treated. And
Yeah, exactly.
what the fuck ever happened to that? You know what I mean? Like, whatever happened to the treat people how you want to be treated thing? Because,
well, I think it was because there's no consequences for your actions. So
I mean, that's still kind of a thing, right? But other people, as soon as you want to say something that doesn't align with their agenda or whatever they're trying to do, they want to get triggered and then blame me for being the bad guy. You know, and that's what if I overhear a conversation with somebody talking about some shit that I don't agree with, like very full-heartedly, I'm like, what the fuck? But I'm not gonna say anything to them because I'm not part of that goddamn conversation, so it's none of my fucking business.
yeah, it's an A and B conversation. See your way the fuck out of it.
You know what I'm saying? Like now, if they want to come to me and they want to turn around, but hey, like you or you know, and they start, that's a different story because now you're bringing me into that.
Yeah,
So
9 out of 10 times, I'm not going to say shit unless you're like, what do you think about this?
Yeah, well, it's
chances are I don't give a shit.
Exactly. Mind your own fucking business. and deal with your own fucking triggers, because it's not the world's responsibility to tiptoe around my beliefs. You know what I'm saying? Because that way they don't offend me or whatever. And that's how I'm going to be the same way. And if I do say something that I know is too far out or whatever, right? And I say it too loudly in a public place and someone gets pissed off, then I understand it. But if I'm talking to Ethan or talking to you and we're in a crowd and then someone's like, hey, what the fuck? You can't fucking say that. Like, fuck you. Like, mind your own goddamn business.
So is that a man thing?
I don't know. Like, I think it's a
so,
person
I've
thing.
seen,
Or is it
I've
just,
seen some
is
shits.
it just people
like,
thing?
Get your fucking shit together and realize if I'm trying to say that word to you or say that phrase to you or whatever it is that triggered you, if I'm saying it directly to you, then you have every right to say something back to me. But if I'm talking to my buddy and we're just fucking around and I'm saying something, then mind your goddamn business and go about your day. Because everybody's going to be happier if that's the way it goes down. Because if not, then you're going to come over here, you're going to get all pissed off and then get your ass whooped, and now you're just going to have a worse day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, that whole concept, like what we were talking about earlier, like if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. There's also too, like the whole aspect of like
entitlement.
Well, because also this too, like if you're going to dish it out, you got to be able to take it. You know, like that's a saying that all of us know, or used to be a saying that all of us know, which is true. Like you can't sit there and so like what he was talking about, if someone walks by and hears me and TJ talking about something they don't agree with, and they open their mouths and say something, like that's AKA you dished it out, you engaged.
Yeah.
So when the repercussions of that fall upon you, whatever they may be, you got to be able to take them. I mean, like either that or shut the fuck up.
I agree.
That's like I could get a fucking tattoo because like my phrase for how everything goes nowadays is just shut the fuck up
and mind your own goddamn business.
Exactly. I mean, like if you like just shut the fuck up. I don't give a shit about your ideology or like same deal if me and TJ are talking about like our ideologies and you walk by and you disagree with it, just shut the fuck up. Like you don't
tough shit. Just don't fuck it. It didn't involve you. It didn't have any. It didn't
go live your own life and forget about it.
Right.
So like if we're in a public situation, we'll just take like Mardi Gras for example. There's a whole bunch of motherfuckers running down the street partying and shit, right? And if we're sitting at a bar that's outside along the road or whatever, all these people are going by and we're just talking, and then someone happens to hear what we're saying and they don't agree, and then they want to engage us, and then now they're the victims because they got their asses whooped because they wanted to engage us and it just escalated to that point.
Yeah.
Like, well, you're not a victim. You were the instigator. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't mind your own fucking business and didn't shut the fuck up and go about your goddamn day. And I'm going to do the same thing. If I'm walking by and hear somebody saying some shit that, I don't even know what would get me to that point. But if someone says some shit that I didn't agree with, I'm like, what the fuck? Did I just hear that? And like, God damn, that's crazy. Like, did you hear what the guy was saying? Like, fuck around, man. That's wild. Like, I can't believe he believes that way. But I'm not going to be like, well, you're fucking wrong there, Mr. Stranger. Like, and then, I think I'm bigger than you are. But lo and behold, he's a fucking, 3-time championship UFC fighter and get my ass whooped. I'm like, well, guess what? Like, goddamn, I fucking deserve that because I shouldn't have fucking said something. I should have minded my own goddamn business and kept on going about my day rather than engaging that dude.
Yeah, I think this is a good way to end the episode. Is if you fuck around, you gotta be willing to fight out.
Yeah, exactly. So these are facts of life.
You know what I mean?
Amen.
So I think that's a good way to end the episode. We always end the episode by fucking going through what we learned from the episode. We'll start with Ethan. Ethan, what did you take from tonight's episode?
That it's okay to like for a man to be a man, like there's like we are who we are and we do the things we do. You just need to learn how to adapt, and with whether it be marital or societal, learn how to adapt and make that work with your life. But also, I mean, like I said, it's okay to it's okay. Like you're supposed to be what you are. Like you're supposed to be a man,
right?
So there's nothing wrong with that, and keep doing what you're doing. Just learn how to integrate it into your own life and make it work for the best for you. And then, because no matter what anybody says, like, you got to look out for number one first, because you're not doing anybody else any good unless you're looking out for number one. So do that first, and then be who you're going to be, and work that into your life and make everybody else's life great too.
Right. I like that. TJ, what'd you take?
Yeah, man, just don't be a fucking cocksucker and mind your own
Always.
goddamn business. And it's all right for you to have feelings. It's all right for you to have, as a man, for you to have a hard day or be in a rough patch. That's fine. And it's also all right for you to express your feelings. You need to get that off your chest. That way it doesn't build up to the point where you implode and decide to fucking kill yourself. And I feel like that's one of the biggest issues, is that we don't have the outlet because we don't want to be seen as less of a man than we are by
Right.
expressing our feelings. So that's pretty much my takeaway for this. Just don't be a fucking cocksucker, and then reach out and text somebody or touch someone, talk to them, call them, text them, hit them up on Facebook, and just see how they're doing.
Trademark that. Don't be a cocksucker.
As always, reach out and touch somebody, and don't be a cocksucker. I mean, that's for me. Like you said, man, it's okay to have emotions. It's all right to have issues. It's okay to have a bad day. We're men, we're dads. The best thing we can teach our kids is that it's okay to have those emotions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be yourself. There's nothing out there so bad that we can't be ourselves. And when we're afraid to be ourselves, when we're afraid to be who we are, we tend to lash out and do things we shouldn't do or wouldn't otherwise do.
Yep.
I just really want men to understand that we can have emotions, we can have bad days, we can be vulnerable when we need to be, and that's okay. So
100%. Yep.
for me, that's the biggest takeaway I took from it. It's just, I hope to God we can start changing this mentality that men have to be this rock, this untouchable rock. You can't be broke. And because at the end of the day, men can be broke, just like a rock can.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, it's fine to be the rock, but, even that rock under enough stress is going to break.
So that's my big takeaway. Don't put yourself under so much pressure that you're coal and you're going to become a diamond. Don't put yourself under so much stress that you're going to break. Be willing to talk. Be willing to share your feelings, your emotions. Share with your partner the things that are going on in your life. It's something that I have to work on myself.
Same.
But at the end of the day, that's why I'm here with you guys. This is my therapy. I love getting to talk to you guys. What else can you say, man? I'm thankful and I'm blessed that I have this opportunity to talk to you guys and have friends and be emotional and be vulnerable with you guys. So that being said, like TJ said, reach out and touch somebody. Always make sure if you need anything, you can reach out to us. We are on the Shadow Mark Society of Misfits on Facebook. Trying to get everything else kind of lined up and taken care of. We're on YouTube. Share the YouTube, share the page, share us. Be a part of our lives. Be a part of our family. I love you guys. Until next time, we are out of here.